Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai ara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te kore mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, this week, wānau, we are joined by two passionate advocates for frisbee who have helped grow the sport here in Taranaki from their first throws to standout tournaments and community involvement. They bring a wealth of experience and energy to the game, and we're excited to hear about their journey and what makes frisbee special and the opportunities it's creating for our people. Really excited to kōrero to these two amazing men. Nau mai, hara mai, Glen Skipper and Will Edwards. Kia ora.
Ai, tēnā koe, Kips.
Tēnā koe.
Kia ora. Hey, excited to have yous on the show. We like to cover a whole range of sports on the show, and I'm really, really excited for this one because I don't know a lot about it. It's something I used to do as a little fella, but keen to hear more about it, and we're just stoked to have you on the show. But before we get started, just tell us a little bit about yourselves and where you're both from.
Ko Taranaki te maunga, ko te me kurahopo o ku waka. Ko Taranaki, ko ngā rua ine, tānga hoi, pakakohi me Ngāti Rua Nui o ku iwi. Yeah, I'm Will Edwards. I live down just out of Haere, but up here at the moment. Kia ora.
Tēnā koutou. Kia te awa nui tonu, Ngāti Rārua, Ngāti Tama, Ngāti Mutunga, ngā iwi, me Taranaki tūturu hoki. Glen Skipper, born and raised in Waitara. Went away for a little while and have returned with my whānau and back in Waitara.
Beautiful, beautiful. Very blessed to have you on the show and awesome to hear where your roots come from. Now, your earlier life, obviously we're going to speak about frisbee, but tell us a little bit about your guys' earlier life. What sports did you play growing up?
For me, at least, pretty much anything that was going. Football, soccer, of course, soccer, touch, cricket, softball, rugby, league. Yeah, what else? I don't know. Bit of surfing and chasing whitebait. Maybe might be the other as close to a sport as plenty of weekends on the river. Yeah, and then it wasn't until much later that when I ended up at uni that I was exposed to the frisbee.
And I played. I used to play soccer as a young fella. Cricket, kid of the 80s. Cricket was big down in South Taranaki at my school, St. Joseph's. Went away to boarding school, and rugby was compulsory at Hākinakina, so I had to learn the hard way about rugby. Never excelled at it. So those were the sort of sports I played. Later on, touch came in the early 90s, I guess, and just played socially, but nothing serious until I stumbled upon ultimate frisbee at uni as well.
Wow, awesome, mate. Jack of all trades, both of you now frisbee. So you said you stumbled across it at university. What was that like? How'd you stumble across it and what was it that drew you to the sport initially?
Yeah, I was actually just walking down the road in Palmy, past Ongley Park, down there by the Lido, and saw these people throwing a frisbee around like in a sport. And I just looked and went, far out, that looks awesome. So actually it was by accident. That's how I came across it. Went and said, oh, can I play? And they were very welcoming, started playing just socially. This is just a pickup game on a Sunday arvo, and I got the bug. And so then one thing led to another and got involved at that point, and then a few of us started promoting it out at Massey with the students. Yeah.
And that's when I basically came in. So as an adult student, I ended up in Massey, and actually some of the other students, some of the younger ones were like, because there was a whole bunch of Māori who were basically out throwing around the frisbee, and just started tossing it around, and next thing we're playing the game, and we ultimately created a club, a Māori club called Kia Matara.
So yeah, we were playing at Massey. We got it started at Massey at university. This is when we were adult students, and I was working up there, and we just started biffing it around. I think a few of us started biffing it around between when some of the other fellas were between lectures out in the car park, and then these other fellas started doing it, and then it just got a bit of momentum. And yeah, if you want to hear a little bit about how the sport's played, it just really clicked with a whole lot of us at the same time, mate. The social aspect, but the athleticism and the room for creativity and self-expression was just infectious.
Yeah, well, you mentioned some of the rules there. Like, what are some of the key rules and unique kind of aspects of frisbee and how it's played?
I think it is quite a unique sport. I think firstly, perhaps the most unique thing about it is the fact that you're using a frisbee. Or a disc. I mean, frisbee is a what you call it?
Brand name.
It's a brand name, yeah. So we all know frisbee because we grew up with this name frisbee, but it's everybody else calls it a disc. So essentially it's a wing, right? It flies through the air, which means that you can do with it a whole lot of things that you can't do with the ball. And you can use the breeze to make it. You can cut across it. You can I could be throwing. I want the frisbee to go directly in front of me, and I can throw it 30 meters to my right or to my left, and get it. Put the right curve on it, the right spin, and it's going to curve right around it and land exactly in front of me where I wanted it.
If you're a good player like him, if you can throw like
But so you can go under, you can go over, you can invert it, which makes it do all sorts of strange flights, and which means that in the game is really about it, which is similarities to many other sports, but about space and recognizing space, and it's really like a big game of chess. Football players, particularly soccer, hockey, are other ones which really focus on space, using space. Because it's a non-contact sport. So unlike rugby and league and other contact sports, where you have where you can physically combat your way through a space. This has been a non-contact. You have to be placing it out into these, into space, so that your players can run onto it.
So the real basic idea of the sport is you have a disc, frisbee. Let's call it frisbee. Frisbee, you pass to your teammates. If you've got the disc in your hand, you have to make a pivot foot and become stationary like netball. The idea is to pass the disc amongst your team, usually seven players in a team, to the far end zone like American football, and you have to catch the disc in the end zone to score a point. So it's sort of got aspects of American football in that way, but every time you get a score, a goal, you switch ends. So you start there and you throw off to the other end. One of the really defining features of Ultimate, it's changing a little bit in the professional game in America, but we've played to a pretty decent level internationally, and no referees, which is a very unusual thing, but it actually really adds to the whole, well, there's this underlying rule called the spirit of the game, and it's about ko te mana o te kēmu pia, o te tangata, te mea nui, hāpai aki te mana, kia kaua koe, me kaua koe takahi te mana o ngā ture o tō horiri rānei. So it allows for flow. So there's self-refereeing. Yeah, so it's quite unreal.
I'm loving this kōrero, the space and the flow, all beautiful kupu used in the game, and no referees, even better. So make sure to stay tuned, Pane. We're going to go to a quick break now and be back to kōrero more about this amazing game of frisbee. So stay tuned. Kia ora koutou whānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM, where we've got two very special guests in the whare at the moment, and we're talking about the amazing sport of frisbee. Now, we've heard how some of the rules work and how you play. Now, what is it about, for you both, what is it about the sport that you love the most? You know, what keeps you coming back to the game?
It's all of that stuff. I think as Will said, the spirit of the game. I think is one of those things that you can go anywhere in the world, and that is it is an international feeling and way of playing and being, and which means that it's a really accessible sport. So you can rock up to a tournament, you know, anywhere in the world, so you register, and a team will pick you up. It means that you can do a whole lot of, I suppose, it fosters a cultural and a kind of social aspect as well as the competitiveness. I think that for me, that's one thing, and I think the other thing, at least for me, particularly as I get older, is the non-contact, the physical, but the still, you know, very physical core strength, and so even when we were at the Worlds in our mid, you know, playing for New Zealand in our mid-30s, you know, most of my friends who were playing contacts, who, you know, had either given up playing rugby or league, you know, in their mid-30s. Well, we were at the top of our, you know, we were playing for New Zealand. And so, and that's because of the, you know, the type of physicalness, and so at least for me as now as a father and the ability to play intergenerationally, yes, and to continue to be, you know, to choose what level I want to engage, you know, at as an older player. And, you know, for other contact sports, that's impossible. You either become a coach or a spectator. But so, I intend to carry on playing as long as I can hobble onto the field, like and you literally can, right? Because therein lies the spirit part as well. Is that the, you know, the participation is just as important.
And because it's a bit of a minority sport, so. Well, in Aotearoa at least still is, I guess it's fair to say. And so that participation is massive. There's a strong ability to play mixed because it's non-contact. So you play what do we call it? Co-ed, they call it in America, with certain ratios of male-female, we used to call it in the early 2000s. And so that allows creativity and inclusion. And as I was saying earlier about that mana of the game and the rules of the game, there's no offsides, and the very few rules, no highly technical stuff like rugby or such. You have the disc. The person marking me can come up to a disc diameter close to me and can mark me, and then besides that, and once I've got the disc. If Glen is marking me, he starts counting out loud, and if he gets to 10, it's a handover. If I throw it, so the idea is I throw it to a teammate and hold. If we keep the disc off the ground, we maintain possession, and then another person or whoever marks that person starts counting to 10. So you could wait until 9 and maybe let go, or you could do it within a half a second. And so there's just real flexibility and fluidity. You can pass forwards, you can pass backwards. As Glen said, you could do a 1 meter pass any direction. If you're a decent enough thrower, any part of the park and the wind conditions allow, any part of the park is a possible target, depending what your receivers are up to and what your tactics and strategies up to. So there's so much room for creativity.
Yeah. So essentially, you can score in one pass.
Oh, sorry, Caps can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, so you can score in one pass, or you can construct. And of course, we were playing at a level where you had man-on-man marking and or marking. You know, you can be once again you can be really creative. There's 7 on each team. You can be really creative about how you use the wind, the sun, we have what they call a force, which is essentially like where we attempt as markers to block off, let's say, 50% of the field. So then everybody who is the rest of my team knows that we're attempting to make them pass in one direction, so you can attempt to anticipate what side you'll be marking your player on. And of course, as a thrower, you're like, well, how am I going to break this?
Yeah, how am I going to go to that space that my marker is trying to stop me, and the rest of the defence is over there on the open side. And if I've got the disc, I'm thinking, how can I get around Glen, who's trying to stop me from passing it over to that side? And then but technical, but pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, Wano, make sure to stay tuned. We're going to go to another break now and hear from Glen and Will about their time with New Zealand, representing New Zealand, and also about the sport here in Taranaki and how we can help the sport grow. Make sure to stay tuned. Kia ora koutou wānau, we're back here on Te Ao Hākinakina. We've got 2 very special guests, and Glen and Will. Now, we're talking about frisbee whānau. Now, representing Aotearoa, this must have been a pretty special moment for you both to represent your nation on the world stage. And frisbee, tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, Glen, tell us about that journey. It was a long time ago. I'll start by saying it's the 2004 World Championships in Turku, Finland. Yep, I remember that much.
Yeah. We're 20 years ago now.
Yep.
It was amazing. So this was a mixed, open mixed, which was the only team that was actually going at the time. But since then, we have regularly New Zealand sends junior teams to the Worlds. Yep. They send mixed open men's, women's, and I think that we just had some of our players, 2 of our players who were at the under-20s World Tournament. We just came back probably about 2 months ago, and that's 2 Taranaki players were in the New Zealand team, and it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to pull on the fern, represent our country, and we had a ball. We had a real ball. It's a bit of a slog for us being in the southern hemisphere we're training in the winter basically, and then heading off to the summer because it's essentially it's a summer sport, though there are indoor versions where some places will go in indoors, in those places, particularly in the northern hemisphere where it snows and those types of things. But we play all year round. We're able to, at least in Taranaki. Yeah. But I suppose in other places like Christchurch and Palmerston North has a big indoor. They host at their facility down there the national indoors in the winter. Yeah. Yeah. And so it was cool. It was and as I say, even particularly as adults and as a late comer to it, I'd been playing. It kind of came up at the time that we kind of had a 3-year lead in, and to the national kind of organisation saying, hey, we're going to target this, this tournament, and we're going to put together a team. And so, at that time I'd been playing it. I'd been playing a couple of years, and at that time I thought to myself, do I think I could do it? And what kind of improvements to my game? And so. We kind of had this lead-in.
We had a couple of lead-in tourneys, 2003 and 2004. Glen and I were part of invitational team, an NZ invitational team. You played, and we played New Zealand universities, relatively older than the rest of the team, but we played an invitational team 1 year. Glen was supposed to come, but Glen couldn't come to the thing, and we won the Australian Nationals that year. We just had an invitational team, men's team, and the women's team won, and they just stacked this team of superstars. And Glen and I were, well, I was lucky enough to be selected. He was selected as well, but couldn't make it. We won the Aussie Nationals that year. Then the year later, they did another invitational team with Glen and I both went to that one. I can't remember where we placed us, might have been top 5 or something in Aussie, which was pretty handy in those days because Australia had a much bigger population. We took a couple of our club team. We played mixed nationals in Aussie. That was primo in Melbourne. We played in Finland. We played a little bit in London on the way over en route to the Worlds. I've played in America when I lived there outdoors, played in Europe indoors when I lived there. But such a cool game for our people because of that I'm not stereotyping our people, but the ability to self-express. Maybe another time we can tell you about our journey of our club called Kia Matara. We translated. We've got a big long word list. We used Māori lots on the field. People were looking at us because we were talking Māori, those of us who were able to. This idea of mana just really fitted well, and we thought at the time it would be really good for kura kaupapa, with te aho matua and te mana o te tangata. And we don't need an external party called a referee. We can actually work out how to play, and some of those things were just super cool. Yeah. That was our Kia Matara journey in Palmerston North and Wellies. But that Worlds, and Glen's the legend. I haven't played for years and years. He's still playing. I'm not even a has-been. I sort of never was.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear the essence of the sport and how it resonates and just aligns with our values as Māori as well. So how accessible is the game of frisbee, like for someone that wants to give it a go here in Taranaki? And what kind of future would you like to see for the game here in Taranaki, and how can people get involved?
I think it would be an amazing game for our people. Intergenerationally, is one of those games that we can play and continue to play. And you only need 2 people. Well, in fact, there is, of course, the frisbee golf where you can go out and just, and as an individual. But you can play pick up with 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and all the way up to to a proper 7-on-7. In fact, we would play more. We play. So we have the one club in Taranaki, and which is based in New Plymouth. We play at Vogeltown Parks on Monday nights. I have been kind of toying with the idea of of starting a club in Waitara.
Oh, you hit it first. You hit it first.
I mean, for a couple of years actually, I've been toying with the idea, and then kind of COVID took the wind out of the sails. But I think we've been kind of strategizing as to how we might better grow the game, and I think what we really need to do is start it is have a second club and get a different night going, and get some competition and test ourselves and So I'd really like to get another club going in Waitara. And then maybe we'll get one going in Hāwara, and then we'll really be north south and
I didn't say that. I'll come and visit Waitara.
I think it would be really
nice. Maybe I'll come out of retirement and blow off the dust. Maybe
Taranaki to my whatever But I think like as a game and just as a sport, it would be really really good for our people. I think it's actually it's just one of those. It's such an accessible sport.
And that community, that social aspect of it, a little bit of being a minority sport. It's a little bit of we can show them. We see on your thing. You got the rugby, you got the netball, and all of that. That's cool. But the old saying back in the day was when a ball dreams, it's a frisbee, and because of all the cool things. And you know, this is us sort of saying, yeah, it's such a cool sport, and it's a low-cost sport. If you've got a disc and you've got a flat bit of ground, you can essentially have a game. And I've seen some stuff in Malaysia and might be Indonesia where some quite poor-hearted villages are playing, but they're playing and they're like phenomenal. I'll show you that sometime. So it can be a low-cost sport. You can play a form of the game with 3-on-3. I spent a lot of time when I was really nerding out on it, trying to learn how to throw. I used to get a stack of 10 frisbee and just practice my throwing, be a bit of a loner out on the park because I had no other mates to play with. But anyway, great sport. And if this thing, you know, if people are interested, Waitara could be something really awesome. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I know, I'm pretty sure the frisbee sales are going to go through the roof after this interview. There'll be a lot of, if they're as interested as I am after that, Kōrero.
Oh, well, get your boots on. Get your boots on, Caps. Yeah. No, and I suppose that's probably one of the, like a normal. You can buy frisbees in the shop, but they're not the kind of the level of the ones that we're using, which are far more stable. You can throw them far flatter, far further. Yeah, and so
like only $20. $20. It's not an expense thing that you just don't see them around.
Yeah, just accessibility. But we do have them at the club. But yeah, Vogeltown Park, 5:30 on a Monday night at the moment, and we warm up throws at 5:30, and then we kick off at 6 o'clock.
And take us still bring a light and a dark shirt because it's called what do you call it? Just pick up. You turn up. You bring a light shirt and a dark shirt, and then you just get chucked in a team, and people. And if the vibe's still the same as it used to be, people are usually welcoming, oh, where are you from? And they'll just take you aside and show you the basics because it's all about getting people involved. It's the sort of vibe.
Yeah,
beautiful.
A bit more. They are Wednesday night training at the moment to go away to the Nationals, which are in November. That's a mix. Yeah, Mani, but I've been not saying that.
I used to play before I was wearing glasses to read, and this fella, that's when I used to play, but he's still playing. This fella's still playing. November, Mani, you're not watching, are you, Mani?
Sharp, all right. Well, hey, thanks so much for your both of your time to share this amazing sport. It's even got me kind of like, wow, it sounds like such a cool sport and so simple just to go in and get involved. So thanks so much for sharing your amazing journey, your love for the sport, the journey it's taken you on, and your hopes and dreams and aspirations for the sport moving forward. Keep up the awesome mahi and keep spreading the word of frisbee around our maunga, and I'm sure there'll be beautiful.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Ngā mihi kia koutou.
Ngā mihi.
Mauri ora.